My mother raised her wine glass at Thanksgiving, smiled at 14 people, and declared that one daughter was a lawyer while the other was a beggar. The dining room exploded into laughter. I was the beggar. Not because I was broke, but because my mother had spent decades teaching our entire family to dismiss me. So I quietly smiled, passed the mashed potatoes, and waited. I was 38 years old, working as a floral designer, and fully self-sufficient. To my mother, Helen, creating high-end floral displays for weddings was nothing more than an embarrassing little hobby. My older sister, Chloe, was 42, an attorney, and the child my mother paraded around like a trophy. Growing up, I quickly learned to shrink my achievements. When I won a school art award at 17, my mother glanced at it for 3 seconds before dropping it to celebrate Chloe's acceptance into a business program. Only my grandmother Eleanor truly understood me. Before she passed away, she loved watching me sketch flowers and insisted that creating beauty was a noble path. The pearl earrings I wore to Thanksgiving belonged to her, serving as a reminder that at least one person in my family had seen my value. My father had also shielded me from the worst of the dynamic, but after he died, my mother had free rein to elevate Chloe while constantly belittling my life. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, a client named Rebecca came into my floral shop. When I mentioned my sister Chloe Parker, Rebecca paused, recalling that Chloe had left her law firm months earlier. Puzzled, I looked into public records later that night. Chloe had indeed left the firm 6 months ago during an internal investigation into $200,000 of questioned billing practices. My mother had been telling everyone that Chloe was thriving and busier than ever. A few days later, my cousin Jenna asked to meet at a local cafe and showed me a secret family group chat. I was not included in the thread. My mother and Chloe routinely made fun of my career and apartment, but the recent messages revealed something far more disturbing. Chloe had been begging for financial assistance, and my mother had been quietly paying her rent since May while instructing the rest of the family to keep it quiet. Sitting in my apartment that night, looking at the screenshots, a cold stillness settled over me. My mother had spent months subsidizing Chloe's life while simultaneously lecturing me about financial responsibility and calling me unstable. I did not want to ruin my sister, but I refused to remain the designated punching bag. I printed out the text messages proving the financial timeline and put them in my purse before heading to Thanksgiving dinner. By 5 o'clock, my mother's dining room was packed with relatives. In the center of the table sat the elaborate floral arrangement I had spent hours making, which my mother dismissively labeled a cute little craft. Chloe sat across from me in a tailored sweater, looking like a successful attorney. Then my mother clinked her spoon against her glass, made her toast, and delivered the beggar joke to a room full of laughing relatives. I forced a smile, kept my composure, and waited for the right moment. 20 minutes later, as dessert was served, my mother stood up to deliver another glowing toast to our brilliant attorney daughter. I set my fork down with a sharp clink that cut through the room. I looked directly at my mother and asked why she had been paying Chloe's rent since May if I was the beggar. The room went completely silent. Chloe turned pale, and my mother's hand froze in midair. My mother tried to dismiss me, claiming it was not the time or place, but I refused to back down. I pulled the printed messages from my bag and laid them on the table. I told the room that I was not ashamed of my sister for needing help, but I was disgusted that my mother had used Chloe's fake success to make my honest life look worthless. Aunt Carol spoke up, telling my mother to stop blaming me for exposing the truth. I grabbed my coat and walked out of the house into the crisp night air. My phone instantly lit up with frantic texts from relatives, some accusing me of ruining the holiday and others claiming my mother was just joking. But the next morning, Aunt Carol called to apologize, admitting that the family should have stopped my mother's cruel comparisons years ago. Her validation meant more to me than any hollow apology from my mother. Chloe texted 4 days later, accusing me of failing to protect her, but I replied that I was done protecting everyone at my own expense. My mother sent a lengthy message claiming I had humiliated the family, proving she believed comparison was the only way to motivate me. I replied with firm boundaries, stating that if she wanted me in her life, the comparisons, insults, and gossip had to end immediately. She did not write back, but I felt a profound sense of liberation. A few weeks later, I shared my story about breaking free from family scapegoating at a local community creative reading event. Standing at the microphone wearing grandmother Eleanor's pearl earrings, I looked out at a room of strangers who listened with genuine respect and empathy. For years, I believed I needed my mother's approval to feel worthy, but true peace came when I stopped letting her define my value. Setting a boundary is not an act of revenge. It is the first step toward respecting yourself.